Okay, so this should work a little bit better. I have not gotten any problems with it saying that the chat box is not working, but hopefully people will join in. I just sent out the link and okay, yay, the chat is working. Hello, Kaylee. Okay, so I wanted to wish Brennan Pate a happy belated birthday. I heard that his birthday was this week, so happy birthday, Brennan. I know you had a blast celebrating your birthday during quarantine, but whatever. Okay, so today we're going over the monetary policy quiz that we did last week. Majority did really, really well. And that's going to be kind of like that's our plan for how end of the week quizzes are going to go. It's going to be like Google form. It'll be about 10 questions. And so we'll have another one this Thursday as well. Okay, so let's go over the quiz. Quick question. When you guys got an email with your grade, did you see your responses or did it just show you your grade? Like, did you see the questions and the answer that you got like right and wrong? Or did you just see your grade? So just comment really quick about what the information that you have access to. Did you see your responses? Yes, no. Yes, I saw responses. No, we did not see responses. Something. You could. Okay. All right. So I want you to go through your school account and pull up those. If you have questions that you want to talk about, I'm just going to pull it up and we're going to go over those questions and the questions that people got wrong, the questions that were really strong. So I'm pulling that up right now on a separate screen. Unfortunately, you can't see my screen and follow along with me. So you either can pull yours up through your school account or like your responses that were emailed to you. Zach, you didn't get an email? Can you check again? Hello, Robert. How are you? Okay, so we're going to go over the questions, and I think everyone got them in the same order. You didn't get an email either. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to quickly release scores again, send emails and release. Okay, so it just sent an email just now. Oh, you have to click a thing saying to send your responses to yourself. Okay. I just released scores again. Can you go check your email really quick to see if you got something recently? It should have more than just your scores, but if not, then we're going to go over the questions anyway. Okay, you got it. Fantastic. All right. So let's go over the questions in order. It says, based on the balance sheet above for 3 banks, which of the following is true? So I'm trying to find the picture of the balance sheet. Oh, mine's okay. I'm not seeing my picture. You only got your score, Jay. Okay, well, maybe by going over it, you'll remember what you got and what you didn't get and all that good stuff. Okay, so hold on. Preview. Okay. How's everyone doing today? Is everyone okay? Getting through? Seniors, did your email from, I think, Mr. Bierkant about how you would like to do graduation? It's like a Google form to fill out about like about how graduation is. Okay, so it's my picture of the Google of the balance sheet is loading. That's what's taking me so long. My internet is just not going great this morning. Okay, it's like still circling. Oh, you had to get your dog to get surgery. Oh, that's awful. Hopefully your puppy's okay. 7:30. That's early. Okay. This picture for me is not loading, so I'll just have to remember what answer was. But Oh my gosh, it's taking so long. If we don't have graduation, should they split the money and get it all to the seniors for scholarship money? What money are you talking about? Like renting out Reed Arena? Okay, well, I don't know. That would be nice. Okay, let's go over the questions. Maybe eventually. My gosh, it was taking so long. Okay. And we raised a lot for Project Prom. Well, next year's juniors are really going to be appreciative of the amazing Project Prom and prom that they're going to have with all this leftover money. Thanks to the class of 2020 for the best prom of 2021. Okay, so sorry. All right, so it says based on the balance sheet above for 3 different banks, which of the following is true if the reserve requirement is 10%? And unfortunately, I can't see I don't know what's going on. I can't see my picture of the Google of the preview. If I preview it, will I be able to see it? Okay. Oh, here we go. Fantastic. All right. So it has Bank A, Bank C, Bank B, and then it says, based on the balance sheet for 3 different banks, which of the following is true if the reserve requirement is 10%? And so we have 3 different banks that we have to look to see. I have returned, got the email. Okay. 3 different banks that we have to see that they have certain demand deposits and how many they have in like required reserves and how many they've loaned out. And it's kind of hard to go over this question unless you're looking at this picture. And hopefully you can bring it up. I don't know what you can see and what you can't see. But it is, oh my gosh, I'm having to go like the answer that's correct that most people got it right was and 79% of people got it right. It says Bank B can increase its loans by $40 because you see that Bank B, if the required reserve ratio is 10%, it's 10% of 600, which is $60. But in actual reserves, they have $100. So only $60 of their $100 has to be kept in the bank at all time. The other amount, it can be loaned out, and because actual reserves is total reserves plus required reserves. And so you are just subtracting what has to be kept in the bank from versus like what doesn't have to be kept in the bank, and you can loan the rest out. I don't know. Can you hear the Roomba going on in the background? Because it's getting louder and closer. And let me just turn that off. And not clean. Oh, I turned it off. All right. So the next question, I am shocked with how many people got this wrong. It says all the following are components of money supply in the United States except. So all of these are money, meaning M1, except for what? So we have options of paper money, gold, bullion, checkable deposits, coins, and demand deposits. Well, checkable deposits and demand deposits are the same thing, and it's checking accounts, and that's totally part of M1. But gold bullion, it's not Pirates of the Caribbean. Gold bullion is not considered money supply in the United States. I don't think it's considered money in any country technically. So unless you're like those, what are those pirates? They're like, I'm the captain now. Like, what is the Ethiopian or I don't even know. Okay, moving on. Okay, the next question starts off with an increase in money supply is most likely to have which of the following short-run effects on real interest rates and real output? Okay, real output is GDP. So interest rates and GDP, what type of relationship would they be? If interest rates go up, what happens to GDP? Is it going to go up or down? It should go down. They're like indirectly related, meaning like they're inverses of each other. If interest rates go up, GDP goes down. If interest rates fall, GDP goes up. So your answer choices, anything that says like interest rates are going up and so is GDP, cannot possibly be right. If interest rates go up, GDP is going to fall as people take out fewer loans and buy less stuff. But an increase in money supply, you can easily graph that on a money market graph. So nominal interest rates, quantity of money, money demand, money supply, boop, 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 boop. Here's your graph. If money supply is increasing, it's shifting to the right, and that lowers the interest rate, which then increases our GDP. So it should be real interest rates go down and GDP goes up. The next one says an inflationary gap can be eliminated by all the following except. So we're trying to slow down spending. There's too much of inflation, and all of them will fix inflation except for which one. So we have an increase of personal income taxes. No, that'll cause people to spend less. An increase of money supply. Well, wouldn't that like make the inflationary gap that much worse? Because increasing money supply would be expansionary, and we're looking for things that are contractionary. So it should be the answer choice that says an increase of money supply, because that would expand an economy that's already too much expanded. Whew. This next question. I want to see if this is the one that people got mostly wrong. No, people did pretty well on this one. Okay, I forget which one it is though. It says, assume that the reserve requirement is 10%. Banks keep no excess reserves, and the borrowers deposit all loans made from a bank. So, okay. So, suppose that you have saved $100 in cash at home and decided to deposit into your checking account. As a result of your deposit, the money supply can increase by a maximum of. So anytime you see typically change by a maximum of, it's probably going to be a multiplier question. So if you deposit $100, they can't loan out all $100. They can only loan out what's in excess reserves. Well, the question says that required reserve ratio is 10%, which means 10% of this, which is $10, goes into required reserves. The other $90 goes into excess reserves, and that's what can be loaned out. And that's what turns into money supply. Well, it's not just $90. It has a multiplied effect. It has a money multiplier effect. So it's 90 times M. Well, M, the money multiplier, is 1 over the required reserve ratio, which in this case is the required reserve ratio is 10%. So it's 1 over 0.1, because that's 10%, which is 10. So it becomes 90 times 10, which is the money multiplier, changes to our answer should be $900, because that's what 90 times 10 is. If I'm going too fast, or if you have a question, please make sure you like type it in and say like whatever, say something. Okay. The next question says, one way in which the Federal Reserve works to change the United States money supply is by changing V. This question is kind of surprising that a lot of people got it wrong. Most people said that the Federal Reserve changed the money supply by changing V, and they said price level. The Federal Reserve influences the price level. They influence inflation, but they do not directly change inflation. They can't just say inflation is 2% or inflation is 5% or inflation is whatever. They can change other things that influence inflation, but they can't directly change the inflation rate. But they can directly change buying and selling of bonds, raising or lowering the discount rate, and raising or lowering the required reserve ratio. That right there, they can directly change. It's kind of like Congress with fiscal policy. They can't directly change the unemployment rate and be like, the unemployment rate is 5%. They can't do that, but they can change taxes and government spending to have influence on the unemployment rate, but they can't directly change that number. It's just same things with price level and inflation. Federal Reserve cannot directly change that, but they can change the 3 tools of monetary policy to have an effect on inflation. And so the only tool of monetary policy that's listed as an answer choice is discount rate, which is correct. That is the right answer there. The next question says, open market operations refer to which of the following? It should be buying and selling bonds. And it's buying and selling government securities by the Federal Reserve. Some people put sales of municipal bonds. Municipal bonds are local government bonds, like Tomball government bonds. That's not the Federal Reserve. They don't do that. That's too micro. It wouldn't have an effect. Hello. Okay. And the next question starts on, where is it? Says, suppose Federal Reserve buys, and this was another question that a lot of people did get wrong, because they forget that the required reserve ratio is only a fraction. Say hello.
Hello.
Okay. You don't know any of those names. Are you looking for somebody?
No.
Are you looking for Gianna or Emma? Zach says hello. Okay, why are you acting weird? Go away. Oh, Emma says hello. Say hi.
Hello, where is she? Right there?
Right there.
Emma Visit. Who's that?
Emma Vest. That's her last name. Yeah. All right. All right. Talk to you later. Goodbye. All right. Hey, Jay. No. All right. So this question about bonds, let's talk about it. If it's like you go and deposit X amount of money into your account, what's the change in money supply if they loan it all out? Okay, that's when you have to take away required reserves because it's a deposit. But if it's the Federal Reserve buying and selling bonds, you don't have to take away any required reserves and put the rest in excess. No, all of it goes into excess reserves because the required reserve ratio, like the definition, is a percentage of deposits that must be kept in reserves. Please leave.
Okay.
It's a percentage of deposits. Buying and selling bonds is not a change in deposits. It's something completely different. All of the buying and selling of bonds amount goes into excess reserves, or if it's a selling of bonds, gets taken out of excess reserves, but it's buying bonds, then it's money being put in to excess reserves because buying bonds is expansionary. Selling bonds is contractionary. So contractionary would take money out, expansionary would put money into excess reserves. So it says the Federal Reserve buys, so putting $400 billion worth of government securities into excess reserves. So $400 billion is going to excess reserves, and their RR is 20%. Well, if RR is 20%, that's 1 over 0.2, which is 5 for the money multiplier. You're multiplying that money multiplier by the entire amount of bonds. You do not have to take any percentage out. It's the entire amount of bonds. And so it's 400 billion times 5, which should be 2,000 billion or $2 trillion. So that's the correct answer. A lot of people put, I guess, was it 1,600? 1,600 because they were taking out a percentage first when you did not have to. Yes, the majority of people got this wrong. Only 35% of people got this right. But keep in mind, if it's a deposit, then you subtract money before you multiply it by the money multiplier. But if it's buying and selling bonds, it's the entire amount of the bond times the money multiplier. Okay. The next question says, the federal funds rate is an interest rate that banks charge each other. Which one is it? It says banks charge one another for short-term loans. That is correct. And then the last one, it says the Federal Reserve can increase money supply by, and we're looking for something that is expansionary monetary policy. So it's going to be buying government bonds on the open market. All the other ones are either not policy at all or it'd be contractionary. Okay, so that was the quiz from last week about monetary policy. Does anyone have any questions before we move on? Questions, comments, thoughts, ideas, concerns? The grades are for those already in the grade book. Unless I sent a message to some of you people that there was something wrong with your Google form, like it did not accept your answers. I have not put those in the grade book yet, but there was only like 9 of you, I think, out of like 100. Okay. So with the quiz, let's say we're done with the quiz. Let's talk about the FRQ that you guys did yesterday and turned in last night. What's the formula for money multiplier? 1 over the required reserve ratio. That's the money multiplier. 1 over the required reserve ratio. So if it is 10%, the required reserve ratio, it'd be 1 over 0.1. If it's 20%, it'd be like 1 over 0.2. And that's typically the money multipliers that they use. Does that answer your question, Jay? Okay. I'm assuming we can move on to the FRQ. And I haven't looked at all of y'all's. I pulled up a few of you that turned yours in early yesterday, and I was looking at those. And for the most part, y'all did really, really well on the beginning part of the FRQ. It was the last part of the FRQ that people struggled with. So I wanted to do the whole FRQ for you and to show you what you got. Can you still pull up your answers? Those of you that have like already turned it in, which hopefully everyone has. Can you pull up what you got or pull up what you did? Because you did it on a piece of paper. So hopefully you still have that piece of paper. So get that out if you have it. You should, because it was just yesterday. And why would you just like done and then toss? And even if you did toss it out in a trash can, did you like take out the trash from that? Probably still have it around. I wrote mine on a piece of paper. Yes, everyone should have. And those of you that submitted it as a PDF instead of like as a picture, fantastic, super awesome. It makes it a whole lot easier to read because I can just scroll up and scroll down. Those of you that turned in as a picture, I had to like zoom in and like move all around on your picture, and it's kind of obnoxious. But if you submitted as a PDF, that was yay. Okay, so let's do the FRQ. It says, assume the economy is currently in a recession. So I think I looked at 5 or 6 yesterday. It was yesterday morning of people that turned them in like way early. And some people, like of the 5 or 6 that I looked at, 3 of them, they started off in equilibrium already. Okay, so remember that nothing in front of it was important. That's a really bad technique to use for basically anything, whether that be like a question or a contract or your wedding vows. Like you need to understand all of it, not just the middle to the end. Okay, so economy is currently in a recession. Draw a correctly labeled graph of long-run aggregate supply and demand and show each of the following. And then it's like telling you to label current output Y1, current price level PL1, and full employment output YF. So it's going to look something like this. Hold on. I can't have like all these cameras going at once that you can see what I'm drawing, but I will pull it up in just a second. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, A should look like this, where we have a recessionary gap. We have PL1 here, Y1 here, and YF here with our Y and PL still, like our PL and Y are still there. It's just we're labeling our short run equilibrium, PL1 and Y1, and then where current GDP, or where like full employment GDP is, which is YF. And then it says B, identify one action the central bank can take to help the economy recover from a recession. You could have said buy bonds, or lower the discount rate, or lower the required reserve ratio. It says identify one action. Okay, here I want to say something. Sometimes, most of the time, they are not going to say if there is an FRQ about monetary policy, it's probably not going to say identify one action a central bank can take. They will say identify what can be done with open market operations, meaning they want you to solely focus on bonds. Should they buy or sell bonds? They're not going to give you the option of saying discount rate or required reserve ratio. The majority of the questions that I've seen, they're like, what should be done with open market operations? You have to say, if it's a recession, buy bonds. You couldn't have said lower the discount rate, because open market operations, OMO, is the buying and selling of bonds. So you can't pick another tool when they're specifically saying, what's going to happen with this tool? And then you go off and say something else. So, but this question, you could have said lower the discount rate, lower the required reserve ratio, or buy bonds. You could have done one of them. You could have said all three. You could have picked any of those three. Doesn't matter. The next one says draw a correctly labeled graph with the money market. Money market and show the impact of the central bank action that you just said, buying bonds, lower discount rate, lower required reserve ratio. Show that on nominal interest rate. So here we are drawing a money market graph and just showing expansionary and monetary policy on a money market graph, which we've done a couple times before. Make sure everything's labeled correctly and that we have money supply shifting to the right and we have lower boop, boop, boops on our nominal interest rate. So this is what question C should have said. Nominal interest rates are going down because money supply is shifting to the right. And that's what our graph looks like. All right. On D, it says on your graph in part A, show the effect of the central bank's action identified. Oh, okay. On your graph in part A. Here's our graph in part A. I'm about to say, didn't we just draw this? I'm talking about this graph now. On your graph in part A, show the effect of the central bank's action that you identified on part B on real output, which is GDP, and price level, which is right here. Well, if interest rates are going down, like they did in the previous part of the question, businesses are going to take out more loans. You guys are going to take out more loans. You guys are going to buy more things, and aggregate demand is going to shift to the right. You didn't have to close the gap. You could have just shifted it any amount to the right, but it had to be to the right. You could have shifted it a little bit or all the way back to equilibrium or so far that you're now in an inflationary gap. Doesn't matter. As long as you have aggregate demand shifting to the right with higher price level and higher GDP, because that's what the question is asking. It's like show the effect on price level and real output. So you have to have your boops. And then it says on E, assume there's an increase in business confidence as a result of the bank's action. What will happen to the demand for capital goods? Well, capital goods, remember, is like pizza ovens and things like that. So there's going to be more demand for pizza ovens because loans are cheaper because interest rates have fallen. And then now it's like, okay, draw a correctly labeled graph of loanable funds market. Okay, we haven't done that in a while. So let's do that. Loanable funds market. Do you remember what's on the X and Y axis? It's quantity of loanable funds, yes, but it's real interest rate, RIR. And it's just regular supply and demand, just S&D, like such. Real interest rates, quantity of loanable funds, supply and demand. Well, if businesses are going to start taking out all of these loans and they're like, oh, low, I'm going to demand more loans so I can buy more pizza ovens. Didn't you just say what you're going to do? You're going to demand more loans. A lot of people were talking about deficit spending. Yes, we've used loanable funds to show deficit spending and crowding out, but that's not what this question's even about. This question is about businesses taking out more loans because they feel more confident in the economy. And so demand of loans shifts to the right, and it just looks like that. Higher interest rates are going to happen because of their more confidence, because there are more loans taking out. And the last question, given your answer in part E, and here was our answer in part E of demand of loans shifting to the right. Given your answer in part E, what is the effect on potential real output in the long run, and explain? Okay. Potential real output in the long run is the PPF curve. It's about economic growth. It's about long run economic growth. And so you need to think about the PPF curve. You need to think about long run aggregate supply and growth in the economy in the long run, which is totally about. Yes, Zach just said, I got this part right, but why was nominal interest rates in part C going down, but in part E wasn't it increasing? Yeah, which is why you have to follow the directions. You're using, it's like E is basically now since they're more confident, talk about their confidence and how it's affecting interest rates versus buying and selling bonds and how it affects interest rates in the previous part of the question. So in the previous part of the question, if the Federal Reserve buys bonds, yes, it lowers the interest rate. But then on E, it's like now business confidence is super high. What's going to happen to the interest rate now? You're building the business cycle of interest rates going up and down and up and down and up and down. So make sure that you're using the part of the question that is asking you about to answer that, because it says on F, given your answer in part E, not given your answer in part C, because part C, they're going down, but part E, interest rates are going up. And so in part E, if interest rates are going up, long-run economic growth is going to shrink because there's going to be less capital stock. There's going to be less accumulation of business capital and pizza ovens and resources because interest rates are higher. And so even though, so time has elapsed between the two parts. It doesn't say that it is, but it's a different effect. It's like, first we're talking about bonds and nominal interest rates on the money market graph. And then it's like, okay, kind of switching gears. I'm not telling you that I'm switching gears, but let's assume that this is happening as well. Let's assume that business confidence is happening as well. And so they're like, okay, kind of a different assumption now. Now we're looking at it from a different point of view, which is why monetary policy sometimes backfires, because like one of the effects is like buying bonds expands the economy. But then when people feel like the economy is expanding, that also changes interest rates, which then has a different effect on long-run economic growth. So based on your answer in part E, output in the long run is going to shrink because interest rates are higher. Based on answer from previous parts, the economy is going to be better in the long run. But answer the question it's asking. Based on your answer in part E, the answer in part E had interest rates going up. So you can only use that answer or that prompt, that piece of information to answer your question. What do you need me for?
You forgot to take out the rocks out of the rock tumbler.
It's still going. The rock tumbler is done tonight. Yeah, we're polishing rocks in a rock tumbler, and it's been going for like 5 days. And so we have to, whatever. Anywho, questions, comments, thoughts, ideas, or concerns. You have a new, I used to have a rock tumbler. Zach, somehow that doesn't surprise me at all that you used to have a rock tumbler. Matthew got it for Easter. Technically, he got it for Christmas from my parents, but they couldn't find it. They hid it somewhere in their house, and then they couldn't find it when it came Christmas time. Could you say F again? Yes, F. Just kidding, Kate'ville. Yes, let me go over F again. Okay, how's wood carving going? I don't carve wood. My husband likes to carve wood when we go camping. He takes a stick and he whittles it with a knife. And one of these days, he's going to cut off a finger. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about F. Before I talk about F, though, on Kate'ville, I have to talk about E. So let me start from E and go down. Yes, you may open up one of the eggs. There you have a cup. You know how to fill it with water? You good? Okay. All right. Part E, it says, assume there's business confidence. Assume business confidence goes up. There's an increase in business confidence. Businesses are like, yeah, the economy is doing well. So basically the exact opposite of today's current situation where business confidence is super low. Pretend that it's not. Pretend that it's doing super well. And it's like, what happens to demand for capital goods? Well, businesses are going to take out more loans to buy more capital goods. Businesses demand more capital. Businesses demand more capital because they're confident in the economy, so they're going to go out and buy pizza ovens and buy all these machines because the economy is doing so well. And why not? And so to do that, they're going to need a loan. And we show that on our loanable funds graph. And when businesses take out a loan, this is supply and demand of loans. So if businesses take out loans, there's more demand for loans because they're like, I need a loan, please, to buy a pizza oven. And that causes interest rates to go up. Real interest rates increase. And then on F, it says, given your answer in part E, this was E, by the way. This is E. Your answer in part E, like what was the result of everything in part E? Interest rates went up. So given that answer of interest rates being higher, not any other part of the question, but just the answer in part E, what happens to potential real output in the long run? Well, potential real output in the long run is the PPF curve. All those economic growth questions that you guys like had on like all these tests, and it's like, oh my gosh, that's a PPF curve question. Remember? Eco growth, long run, eco growth, long run. Eco growth is a PPF curve between capital goods and consumer goods. And shifters of this is like changes in FOPs or technology or interest rates. And if interest rates go down, the economy expands. If interest rates go up, the economy shrinks. And in part E, interest rates went up. Interest rates went up, so the economy is going to shrink in the long run based on the answer on part E. Based on a different answer on a different part of the question, it could have changed. It could be different. But solely based on letter E, then yeah, the economy is going to shrink in the long run. Okay, so that being said, I just posted maybe about an hour ago, I posted your lesson for today. It is about how money demand shifts. And we've only been shifting money supply, but now money demand is going to shift. So it's actually pretty simple. The shifters are really easy because it's things that you already know. But are there any questions about what we've been talking about lately? Any questions about just anything in general? Anything at all? I can do like where's my microphone on this thing? I can do like ASMR economics. No? Okay. Questions, comments, thoughts, ideas, concerns? Nobody's saying anything, so I'm assuming that we're good. No, Miss Taylor, no. What? You don't like ASMR eco videos? Tap, 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 tap. Tap, 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 tap. No ASMR. Okay, that's fine. Right after this, I am going to go dye my hair. Miss Lisa and I are both dyeing our hair cinnamon brown. We're going to be twinsies. She already did it, and then I'm copying. So it's gonna be fun. It's whatever. I needed to do something. How's the family doing? We're good. We're good. Same old. We take walks and play tennis. We get in the pool occasionally, but now it's nice and cold. Charlie's doing well. He needs a haircut and a bath. He really stinks. Doing laundry yesterday. We did a marathon of Star Wars. Yes, Charlie likes that we're home all day long. He's become very, very cuddly, more than usual. But we watched all the Star Wars movies in a row. All of them. Hey, Matthew, come here. Matthew's going to do a trick. He can list all the Star Wars movies in order. Because, Hey, Matthew, name all the Star Wars movies in order. What's the Matthew, come back. You can do it. You did it for whoever the other day. Come on.
I never did.
Just do it to me.
Yeah.
Please? Oh, I said that you could. Now they're going to think that you can. That's fine. Whatever, he's being shy.
I can.
Oh, I don't think so.
And I'm not shy.
No, you're not. You don't know how to do it.
I do.
Well, then come here and do it.
Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, Solo, Rogue One, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, The Rise of Skywalker.
Yes. Yeah. Good job. Thanks, bud.
Whose would please?
Oh, no, that Zach would. And then what he said was, please. He was asking you to come back and say it. Yeah. He's very impressed now. Yay. Go, Matthew, says Emma. Yeah. Yes, of course.
Everyone say a word.
Everyone say a word?
Yeah.
Well, they're saying things. Jay says, thank you, Matthew. Very cool.
What else?
You just want praise? You just want people to be like, wow, you're amazing.
A word.
Oh, Kativelle says a word and Zach says a word. Good job, bud.
Word.
Hey, you know what time it is? Time to do your Google Classroom. All right, go log
I
in.
have to finish.
Okay, do that and then we'll log in. Okay, kiddos, I'll talk to you later. Have a great afternoon. Miss you desperately and peace out, Girl Scout. Bye.